After meeting with a local Nosferatu, known to be closely tied with the sheriff, Jessica looks to end her evening, feeling as though she started to play the game off on the right foot. Those who know things and believe themselves to be more powerful than they are easily manipulated with just honey-coated words. But first, day must pass. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. There's a letter slipped under the door in a cream-colored, old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter, it's clear it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned, rich, or a fan of classic stationery. No normal person sends letters like this. The note is small and terse, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to a rendezvous at Cathedral Street, John Devine. I'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow night. Look for me closer to God. Well, that immediately sends some red flags to me as a player to closely already speak of God. Doesn't mean it's certainly not a kindred, as we've been taught. Kindred don't adhere to the mythology of what makes or what kills a vampire particularly, shall we say, dangerous. But there is something known as the Second Inquisition, an umbrella term that encompasses all of those who use technology or faith to fight against the kindred themselves. Secret governments, secret religious sects, and sometimes even just secret individual sects. If this is one of them, either they know who we are and want to kill us, or they'd like to use us for bigger prey. There is no other information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation for the following night. It could be, genuinely though, not, Second Inquisition. Could be something entirely different. So, today we have the choices of seeing Sophie. Sophie suggested you meet Hope, a reclusive member of the Malkavian clan. We could also go back to D'Angelo here. We haven't heard from him, sticking his nose where he doesn't belong, or maybe he pissed off the wrong people and is now rotting in a ditch somewhere. Either way, now's a good time to check up on him. I'm thinking for now we start small. When you build a foundation of contacts, you always want to start with just one or two. Those that you can ensure trust you fully. Never trust them fully, however. There's only one way to do that, and it's to pour time into their lives. You make your way through the now familiar rusty maze of the grain terminal and up the stairs to D'Angelo's office. This time, however, you find the room firmly locked. There's a note pinned to the door. You rip it off and scan through the crooked lettering. There's been another one. At the scene now. Come to Bedstoy. What? Bedstoy? Corner of Pulaski and Garvey ASAP. Oh, so he's expecting us. At least he's safe. Bedstoy? I don't understand. Is that the name of the street? Or am I just stupid? Looks like D'Angelo could use your help. Better get going. As you approach the address D'Angelo gave you, a squad car passes you by, sirens blaring. Following it, you make a turn from DeKalb Ave into Pulaski Street. I guess that's what it was. Sure enough, the street is awash with red light, and the 4 or so police cars parked on the nearest corner, next to an ambulance, confirm that you're in the right place. You move closer to what appears to be New York's finest convention, looking around in the hope of spotting a familiar, if not altogether pleasant face. No such luck. True to his Nosferatu lineage, D'Angelo is nowhere to be seen. He's likely standing somewhere on the sidewalk. If you don't know much about vampire, I'll do my best to try and educate you as we go with maybe smaller things, but Nosferatu have access to an ability known as obfuscate. They don't truly disappear. However, when you look at them, your brain completely forgets that he's even there, and your eyes immediately divert either around him or elsewhere, and it gets more powerful as things goes on. There are other things that will completely mute your footsteps. It basically just makes them so that they cannot be seen. There are, of course, possible ways around this. It is not perfect, as no power is, but just to give you an idea, he's likely somewhere on a sidewalk, just standing, watching, waiting. You stop on the sidewalk across the street, trying not to draw attention to yourself. All of a sudden, one of the cops standing by the entrance to the building looks straight at you. He gives you a double take, and you instinctively look away. Bad move, you think to yourself, as you notice him making his way toward you. He gives you a double take instinctively. That could mean any number of things. I don't know why he's double taking. Perhaps he's waiting for us. My gut said he was, that he maybe recognized us, but perhaps we can calmly wait for him to approach. We know we have the ability to command, and Jessica knows she has the ability to command. Perhaps that could be useful. Not allowing panic to set in, you stand your ground, doing your best ordinary citizen impression. The cop waddles across the street toward you, his sense of authority putting that extra spring in his step. You try to remain calm, even as he puts his hand on his holster. Shit, you can't help but mouth the word. This is about to get messy. Suddenly, he stops, as if instinctively realizing he was just inches away from a grisly demise. He waves at you dismissively, and yells in a thick Brooklyn accent. Hey, this here's an active crime scene, be on your way. I don't know if that's actually Brooklyn accent. Relieved, but trying not to show it, you put on your grumpy New Yorker face and start to walk away. As you make your way past a dark alleyway, someone grabs you by the arm and pulls you into the shadows. If the smell of cigar and cheap cologne didn't give him away, the gravelly voice sure does. Nice save. I mean, dumb you to show your face around here in the first place, but still. Come on, I'm parked around the corner. Before you know it, you're sitting in the passenger seat of a busted old sedan parked half a block away, giving you a nice view of the police gathering. My guess is presence kicked in, and she doesn't realize it. Another ability of the Ventru. Feeding opportunity. We can take them. We can take them. No sweat. See? There's only two of them. Is she... Why is Jessica... Wait. Is she... Why... Either I'm reading it like that, or it's written like she's talking like the Nosferatu. Because I'm reading like, we can take them, no sweat. See? There's only two of them. But it's probably not that. It's more, we can take them, no sweat. See? There's only two of them. That we know of. Might be more inside. I don't know, kid. I can handle risky, but this seems downright stupid. Well, if he's been around longer than Jessica, and Jessica, again, she's made it high into the corporate ladder. She knows how to play the game, and she's not that naive. Yeah, you're probably right. Better safe than sorry. So we can have him do his shadow skulky thing, let them, or we can talk to him. There's blood around our screen, which means we're getting a little hungry. I'm concerned about that. Because if I talk to them, I'll probably have the ability to dominate them if I need to. But if he's shadow skulkies, I think he'll be better that way. Hey, how about you do your shadow skulky thing? Maybe you can find some way to let me in from the inside. Shadow skulky thing. Jesus, kid. Childish phrasing aside, it's as good an approach as any, I guess. Without another word, he gets out of the car and heads for a nearby back alley. You watch in silence as he disappears into the shadows. A minute passes, then another one, and another. You begin to worry. What if there were more cops inside? What if your moldy partner has gotten himself in trouble? Suddenly, a shadowy silhouette appears in one of the windows on the second floor. Looks like he made it after all. At least, you hope it's him. The shadow waves at you and points to the corner of the building opposite the two cops. You get out of the car and quietly make your way toward the alley. Sure enough, you find that the ladder leading to a fire escape has been conveniently dropped for you. Good work, D, you mumble to yourself as you climb to the second floor. Finding the crime scene proves easy enough. You just follow the yellow police tape, and before you know it, you're standing in the middle of what used to be someone's living room. The place has been completely trashed, knocked over furniture, shattered glass, the works. Looking around, you notice a sign scribbled on a nearby wall. It reads, "His gift, our fate." You're no expert in typography, but the crooked letters look similar to the ones you saw back in Red Hook. Perhaps speaking about Kane. They could be talking about Gehenna. Things that I don't really want to go into detail of, because if it isn't dealing with that, there's no need to go deep down that rabbit hole, not yet. Sure enough, there's very little in terms of blood, save for the occasional strain that's bound to end up on the carpet once you toss someone through a glass coffee table. D'Angelo leans against the doorway. He seems lost in his thoughts, sucking on his cigar compulsively and mumbling to himself. You lean in a bit, trying not to make it obvious you're listening in. You manage to catch the last few lines of his monologue. The night's been kind to him so far, but the question kept piling on, and now they find themselves amidst the wreckage of another life. It was up to them to sift through the debris and come up with neat little pile of answers. Suddenly, he tenses up, as if sensing your eyes upon him. Feel free to chip in, kid. Anything catches your eye. His gift, our fate. Yeah, there's that. What do you think it means? See, how would she know about Kane? Nobody has told her. Like, I know. And I want to say that. But Jessica would have no idea. She's been a freaking vampire for like 4 days. Our fate. Wait, what? Am I the only one getting... Oh, an apocalyptic... Okay, so this is it. Am I the only one getting an apocalyptic vibe out of this? There's some typos in this game. No, you're not. This is about the gift of Cain, as in vampirism. Our fate. See, now... Okay, now she can start learning about it. As in vampire. Our fate, yep. Clearly someone wasn't too happy to receive it. God damn it, I hate where this is going. My guess is Gehenna? Thin Bloods being representations, or at least harbingers of the end times. To put it simply, Gehenna is, without going into too much detail, it's the myth to some, belief to others, prophecy to some, but basically it's the idea that kindred vampires' time is basically limited, and there are certain signs that represent the end times, the last of the nights for kindred, and one of those predictions or one of those signs is the rise of thin bloods, which is happening now in the game. Some see it as a coincidence, much like Nostradamus has had put out a bunch of prophecies. Some are bound to be right, with thousands of them out there. People this kindred kind of attributed to that. There are those who fully believe it, and obviously the game leaves it up as a mystery for you as a storyteller, or a DM for those who don't know, or a game master, whatever, for you to do what you want with it. Anyway, why? The thin blood angle seems to check out. It looks like you were right. Yeah, well, this time I'd rather be wrong, alright? Anyway, it looks like we're not getting any more out of this place. No way around it. We gotta see the body. In for a penny, in for a pound. Might as well be prudent. My thoughts exactly. The Dusk won't have it as bad as it is. If I'm gonna accuse him of breaking the Masquerade, I want solid evidence. I mean rock fucking solid. Luckily for us, I might know someone who will get us an audience with our dearly departed. To your surprise, he pulls out a cell phone, a busted old clamshell. He flips it open and spends a good minute browsing through the contacts, muttering to himself. Finally, he makes a call. So this could be... I mean, listen, it depends on how strict your camera law of your city is, but sometimes even cell phones are fully outlawed because it can be dangerous to send any signal, encrypted or not, unless you're fully and confident in it being not cracked, because, you know, there are those out there who are going to try. Having a phone can just get you caught, but who knows? Hey, You know who this is. Yeah. A favor you owe me. Yeah, it's time to deliver. Listen, I know you got a fresh one. Murder in Bed-Stuy. I need to take a look. Yes, now. Yeah, you better. With that, he hangs up and gives you his trademark wry smile. Oh, see, yeah, aren't cell phones forbidden? Again, Jessica wouldn't know that. It hasn't been brought up, but, this is hilarious. That's like, here's the Mathis answer, and here's the roleplay answer. So, we good? Yeah, we're good. Next stop, Kings County. Kings County, the bleeding heart of Brooklyn. It's beating as hard as ever, with ambulance after ambulance bringing in sick and wounded New Yorkers to be pumped through the tight arteries of the healthcare system. It's a dangerous place for a kindred to show their face, incessantly crowded and full of people who specialize in noticing all sorts of physical afflictions, especially the sort that makes up the very essence of a vampire's existence. For instance, death. Thankfully, your business here tonight keeps you away from the hectic human hive of the ER. Instead, you follow D'Angelo to a relatively quiet part of the underground parking lot that's closest to your current point of interest, the Kings County Morgue. Having found yourself a convenient and suitably unlit spot near the hospital wall, you wait patiently for D'Angelo's contact to appear. Every now and then, you glance over at the undead gumshoe, as if to make sure his moldy mug isn't showing any signs of worry. It doesn't. Or at least, he's very good at hiding it. Finally, after 30 minutes or so, a lone figure emerges from a side entrance. As the human-shaped shadow walks by, you're quick to recognize him as the EMT you saw back at the murder site. Clearly nervous, the 20-something-year-old redhead can't seem to help but look back, making sure no one is following him. Finally, he stops and lights up a cigarette. Without even looking in your direction, he takes a puff and exclaims, seemingly to no one in particular, "Room 112. You got 20 minutes." D'Angelo speaks without looking at you. That's our cue. You follow the Fang detective through the same door the EMT walked out of. Luckily, this wing of the hospital seems unusually empty. Still, the confidence with which D'Angelo makes his way through the white and green corridors makes it clear. He's been here before. Finally, he stops in front of one of the doors. Room 112. That's your stop. The room is small, with only one oversized freezer by the wall and a single slab mounted in its center. Sure enough, the body of a middle-aged man is splayed out on its steel surface. Even for a dead man, he seems unnaturally pale. Extreme blood loss will do that to you. Try as you might, you can't help but look at the man's face, his features twisted in abject horror. This was not a peaceful death. Well, I don't know if they're going to talk about it in this game, but there is a clan of vampires whose bite is not euphoric. That is Clan Giovanni. They typically deal with more necromantic powers on the whole, but yeah, I don't know if that's something we're going to be dealing with in this game. Looking closely, you notice 2 small puncture wounds on the victim's neck. If ever there was a clear sign of a vampire attack, you're yet to see it. I mean, it could be. The thin blood. Why am I talking about Giovanni? Why did my brain go that way? Of course, the thin blood. Duh. Looking over to D'Angelo, you notice his lips moving in a familiar motion. He's narrating again. Before he can utter an intelligible word, you cut in with a remark. Sucked dry, just like the last one. Yeah, I'm guessing you notice the teeth marks as well. So that's bad because if this person is a thin blood, and if they're aware of the Camarilla, and if they're aware of the Masquerade and the Six Tenets, well, technically, even if they are not, that won't hold up in the court system in this game. But basically, when you feed on somebody, what you're supposed to do as a kindred is lick the wounds shortly after, typically right after. And that way the bite marks disappear. If you wait too long and the body, gets old and you can't lick them closed anymore, that hides it, because if you leave the 2 puncture wounds there and then the person's drained of blood, I mean, put 2 and 2 together, people even with a passing knowledge of pop culture are immediately going to think vampire, and that's not something you want. Dead giveaway. Fuck. As if on cue, the door swings open. A tired-looking man with a stethoscope around his neck walks in. With his eyes fixed on his clipboard, he doesn't appear to notice you yet. We're gonna feed. This is absolutely what we're gonna do. Letting your instincts take over, you pounce on the unsuspecting doctor, plunging your fangs into his aorta. The precious liquid tastes sickeningly sweet, making you feel a bit lightheaded. It appears the good doctor has been getting high on his own supply. It takes you a moment to get your fill, but when you're finally done, you immediately feel D'Angelo's eyes upon you. You start coming up with an excuse, but he just smirks. You're quick, kid, I'll give you that. Beat me to it by a pube. Yeah, doctor's alone, nobody's looking. You're in the morgue. Just do it, dude. Now, come on, let's get out of here. Time to pay our dear Primogen another visit. Robert Larson's home looks about the same as last time. No added security, no angry dogs prowling the yard. It appears that the thin-blood Primogen would rather risk another visit from his old pal D'Angelo than to arouse suspicion of his family and neighbors. Something I didn't talk about last time is not only am I surprised that there's a thin-blood Primogen, but I'm surprised that there's a thin-blood Primogen who openly has a friggin' family that he lives with and takes care of. I mean, granted, if he was turned while he had a family, it's hard to avoid, but then at that point, I'm just surprised they even put him on the council. Now, on the other hand, this is why I love this game, and I love this depends on the kindred. On the other hand, having a thin blood Primogen whose family you all are aware of makes it so easy to just manipulate and use them, because you don't threaten him, you just threaten his family. That's it. End of story. Like it makes it easy to control them, but it also, on the flip side, it makes it easy for everybody to control him. What I might go about and do if this was my campaign, is I might, if the setup being as it is, my guess or what I would implement is that the Camarilla puts explicit protection over the family, for fear of pain of final death. So the Camarilla basically has exclusive rights to blackmail the family, and should anybody get anywhere near them or do anything to this family, the Camarilla will kill them and punish them, thereby keeping most kindred away. I think that'd be the smart political move for the Camarilla to do, if that's how they wanted to, if they have a thin blood Primogen on the council, which I find very, very interesting. I actually love that idea. It's very cool. Which is good considering that's what he's about to get. Sure enough, the light in Larson's study is on, and you even catch a glimpse of the man himself shuffling around the room. You look over to D'Angelo, wondering how you're going to get Larson's attention this time. Without a single word, D'Angelo walks over to a nearby street lamp and leans against it, making sure he's visible to any and all who happen to look. Looks like time for subtlety is over. It only takes a couple of minutes for Larson to take notice. You see him lean against the window and storm out of the room. In mere seconds, he's out in front and in D'Angelo's face. Listen to me, you moldy fuck. I've had about enough of your shit. You want to pester me, fine, but you leave my family out of it. For a moment, D'Angelo just stands there, motionless, allowing Larson to get his frustrations out. Suddenly, he grabs the thin blood by the collar, lifts him off the ground, and smashes his back against the lamppost. Are you finished? All right. Now you listen to me, and you listen good. By the way, Nosferatu have an ability to be very strong, basically. You think I'm enjoying this? You think I like to be jerked around? You think I got nothing better to do than hang around this little puppet theater you've made for yourself? Now, either you give me a lead I can follow, or I'll start remembering things you'd rather forget. For the first time since you met him, Larson looks speechless. His eyes wide with fear, he can only mutter under his breath, I wonder if his family has been ghouled. By the Camarilla, maybe? I don't know. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Cue awkward silence. You stand there, shifting your eyes from one vampire to the other. Guess it's time to either press the advantage or play the good cop. Man, see, I would just sit there and let it go. I would listen. When things are this tense, and you really truly have no allegiance to either of them, though obviously the Nosferatu provides the most benefit in the now, though having a primogen on your side, thin blood or not, might be useful. Let them beef it out. Listen to the words that get said, and remember them. There's going to be information that slips when emotions are on high. Something young kindred tend to forget. Look, we're all a bit stressed out. How about we all just take a deep breath, figuratively speaking? Nah, I don't feel like it. I tried being nice, but some people don't appreciate nice. Some people will do anything to cover their asses. Isn't that right, Robert? If you want my help, put me the fuck down. With his feet back on the ground, Larson straightens his collar in an attempt at preserving some shred of dignity. There's a place in Manhattan, Lower East Side. If one of the few places in the city where my people can find shelter. Yeah, I know it. If you go there right now, you might find what you're looking for. D'Angelo stares at him for a moment, just long enough to make it uncomfortable. We'd better. Finally, D'Angelo loosens his grip. You both watch Larson limp back to his house, looking back over his shoulder, like he's gonna tell the teacher on you. You look to your partner, meaning to ask what that whole thing you'd rather forget deal was. As if sensing your curiosity, D'Angelo cuts in with a preemptive mutter. Come on, we got what we came for. As you reach the address Larson gave you, you find yourself standing in front of what looks like an old garage. On the outside, the place looks as uninteresting as it gets. You'd think it abandoned, if not for the few barely working lights illuminating its shabby facade. Once you're inside, however, if ever there was a place worthy of being called a wretched hive of scum and villainy, this is probably it. The room is littered with drunks and crackheads, human and thin blood alike, their minds lost in their cruel little worlds, their bodies splayed out across the floor. D'Angelo leans over and whispers in your ear. I'll cover the back door. You stay near the front. Let's look around and see what we can find. Before you can ask what exactly you're supposed to be looking for, D'Angelo disappears into the shadows. Yeah, so we have an ability called Auspex, and it basically lets us heighten our senses, which you can see here. I'm glad they gave us this choice. It's free for the most part. It doesn't rouse the blood, doesn't cause hunger, so I wonder if that's the case in this. Focusing your senses, you plunge into the full spectrum of the room, hoping to hear someone or something worthy of the attention. You regret it almost instantly. The room becomes deafening, an echo chamber, a sea of babbling lunatics, of muttered curses and drug-induced ramblings. You're almost ready to give up when a faint whisper catches your attention. A female voice, soft, trembling. Gift, he speaks to us. The blood speaks. Few words are enough to tell you you've just hit the jackpot. You follow the voice to its source, a young woman hunched in the corner of the room. As you walk toward her, D'Angelo emerges from the shadows right next to you. Nice catch. He kneels down beside her. You can tell he's trying to sound as comforting as possible, but with his gravelly timbre, it's not really working out. Hey, it's okay. When I had heard you just want to talk. No, don't talk. Too loud. Too loud. She might have Auspex on or not be able to turn it off. She seems halfway out of it. It's like the lights are on, but whoever's inside is stumbling around one hell after a bender. Try that again. But whoever's inside is stumbling around after one hell of a bender. Alright, you like quiet, got it. Can you tell me your name? Santa. That's what he calls me. Are we... Okay. No, I'm not going to say anything yet. Suddenly, you hear the door swing open behind you. Even though the night is fairly warm, a cold chill runs down your spine. You look toward the entrance. There is a woman standing there, and something about her just screams kindred. Even though she seems comically overdressed for the situation, somehow, You don't feel like cracking a smile. Whoever she is, you can tell she means business. She starts making her way to the back of the room, not making any effort to sidestep any of the junkies or drunks. They all know well enough to get out of her way. Acting out bravery or sheer stupidity, you walk up to her. She looks at you as if you were something she just scraped off her shoe. You smile nervously, without even knowing it. Be casual, I guess? This doesn't sound like the Jessica I have in my mind. As soon as you open your mouth, her hand shoots out, grabbing you by the throat. Oh, okay then. The woman looks at you, tilting her head, as if examining a curious specimen of insect. Suddenly, her eyes shift as she notices something behind you. Her face turns from disgusted curiosity to sheer annoyance. Hey, that's Sophie. That's just straight up Sophie. Right? What do you mean, woman? Oh, are we having like a split personality thing going right now? Right? I'm not crazy? You. Hey, Val. That's my assistant you got there. Do you mind? She rolls her eyes. You feel the grip on your neck loosen and awkwardly fall to your feet. She makes her way toward D'Angelo, pushing you aside like a rag doll. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just crazy. Val? Valerie, huh? Where is she? You're gonna have to be a bit more specific, darling. Don't play coy, Ginny. The manslayer. I know she's here. A blood hunt has begun. By order of the prince herself, the girl is to meet her final death. Ooh, a blood hunt was called. Blood hunt, we'll talk about it. A punishment sentencing a vampire to final death at the fangs of their peers. The code of the kindred and the system for punishing transgression is the law of retaliation. Yeah, in a blood hunt, you're legally allowed to commit the act of diablerie, which is not only the consumption of the vampire's blood until death, but in general the consumption of their soul. And when you do that in very Highlander-esque style, you have in the board game there, in the tabletop RPG rather, you have the chance of increasing your power. You always gain a little something out of it, but what you gain varies depending on a bunch of variables, including dice rolls. On the flip side, depending on how young of a vampire you are and how powerful of the vampire you consume is, they have a chance of just overpowering you and taking over your body. So it's a gamble. You kind of have to weigh the pros and cons, as you kind of do with everything in this world. Hold your horses, honey. I'm conducting an investigation under the auspices of the sheriff. They count for something too. Look, sweetie, I'm not here for some clit measuring contest. You want this to get ugly, be my guest. Otherwise, I suggest you step aside and let me do my job. Oh, by all means. He steps aside in a comically exaggerated fashion. You look to the corner where you last saw Senna, but find no trace of the girl. Well, I'll be. I could swear she was just here. Valerie looks at D'Angelo. She smiles softly, but you can tell she's trying very hard not to rip his head off. You'll regret this. Story of my life. Without another word, she turns on her heel and storms out. D'Angelo waves his hand in your general direction. Come on, kid. Let's get out of this shithole. As you emerge from said shithole, you feel the cool night breeze caress your face. It's soothing and almost makes you forget how shitty the last few hours have been. Almost. Okay, kid, I know you got questions, but it's getting early and I don't feel like having a Q&A session right now. For now, you get one question, make it count. Do you know where the girl went? What do we do now? Or who the hell is Valerie? What do we do now seems useless. I want to ask who Valerie is. Do you know where the girl went? Well, he made a grandiose gesture, so I assume he knows at least what she can do. But maybe not. So, Valerie, huh? So who the hell is she? She's a scourge, kid. Part enforcer, part assassin, all around pain in the ass. So, here we go. Scourge is an executor subordinated directly to the prince. What's so great about the Camarilla is all kinds of fun positions that that may or may not pop up. There's no, at least to my campaign's knowledge, there's no known scourge in Chicago. But there is Magnus Canis and other things that you won't necessarily see in other cities. A lot of positions to earn for power to keep kindred egos in check. If she finds that girl before we do, we'll never find out why she did what she did. Before you ask, yes, we've run into each other in the past. No, I don't feel like talking about it. Alright, kid. I don't know about you, but I'm turning in. I'll figure some stuff up. Keep looking for our girl. Feel free to swing by the office in a night or two. And with that, he stumbles off into the distance, not even bothering to keep to the shadows. Can't say you blame him. It really has been a rough night. And it seems we're only halfway through the night. The next half to be chosen on somebody we've yet to meet. A gangrel could always be good, to have the muscle on your side, and a Nosferatu for the intelligence while you run them all like puppets. But a Malkavian certainly offers insight that we may not otherwise